Good evening, I'm Camelia, and this is KiniNews. The government has rejected the claim by the US that Malaysia had imposed a 47% tariff on US goods. According to Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, the basis for calculating the tariff is flawed. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has criticized the US's decision to impose reciprocal tariffs on Malaysia. In a speech last night, Anwar said the math is flawed and the government rejected the claim by the US that Malaysia had imposed a 47% tariff on US imports into the country.
The basis for calculating this tariff is fundamentally flawed, which has inaccurately resulted in Malaysia being imposed a reciprocal tariff of 24%. Yet, our response will be calm, firm and guided by Malaysia's strategic interests and the common resolve of all our ASEAN colleagues.
He said Malaysia is fully committed to securing a favorable resolution that preserves vital market access, attracts continued foreign investment, and supports the well-being of Malaysian workers and businesses. He added that they would not introduce retaliatory tariffs. Anwar said the government will be engaging with the US constructively with the Foreign Ministry and the Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry, also said to do a detailed analysis, running simulations and consulting stakeholders across industries. He also assured that the economy will not head into a tailspin. Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz also spoke out on the topic. He clarified that the actual tariff rate on US goods is 5.6%. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz has clarified that the actual tariff rate Malaysia imposes on American exports is 5.6%. This is contrary to the US's claim of a 47% tariff. Zafrul told reporters today that he had met with US Ambassador to Malaysia, Edgar D. Kagan, to seek clarification on the figures cited by President Donald Trump during his recent announcement on tariffs.
Kerajaan menafikan dakwaan bahawa Malaysia telah mengenakan tarif 47% ke atas import Amerika Syarikat ke Malaysia. Kita tidak bersetuju dengan asas pengiraan tarif ini dan sedang mendapatkan penjelasan mengenai pengiraan tersebut. Saya pun baru habis selesai mesyuarat dengan Ambassador Amerika Syarikat dengan pasukan daripada Embassy juga bersama-sama dengan rakan saya. Kita telah cuba mendapatkan penjelasan mengenai pengiraan tersebut. Asas pengiraan kurang tepat ini telah mengakibatkan Malaysia dikenakan tarif timbal balas pada kadar 24%.
Zafrul added that his ministry is establishing a task force to engage with related industries and exporters as part of efforts to counter the unilateral decision to impose tariffs. He also said the government is taking several measures to deal with the implications of the US tariffs, including by activating the National Geoeconomic Command Center. He said findings from MITI's ongoing sectoral impact study focusing on key export sectors to the US will be presented to the center. He added that a task force under MITI will gather input from key stakeholders, including private sector representatives. While we are on the topic of tariffs, US President Donald Trump has likened it to medicine, saying that sometimes it is needed to fix something. US President Donald Trump has responded to the stock market slump after he introduced import tariffs. When asked if there was a pain threshold he wasn't willing to tolerate in the markets, Trump said he didn't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. This came as the global markets slumped in the early hours of trading. Trump also said that he had spoken to a lot of leaders from around the world, and many were dying to make a deal. Trump had previously announced the introduction of reciprocal tariffs on imports from other countries. He said that all imports into the US would be slapped with a baseline 10% tariff, which came into effect on April 5th. Starting April 9th, the US will impose higher tariffs at half the purported amount that are imposed by other countries on US exports. According to US Census Bureau data reported by Politico, the US's trade deficit with Malaysia is at 47%, the figure alleged by the Trump administration as the country's tariff rate on US exports. Half of that, or nearly half, is 24%, the reciprocal tariff rate set by the US. However, Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz has clarified that the actual tariff rate Malaysia imposes on American exports is 5.6%. Before we move on, consider supporting us by scanning the QR code on the screen and subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Moving on to the Putra Heights fire, Amirudin Shari announced today that Petronas will be giving additional cash aid to the pipeline fire victims. The total value of losses and damage to residences involved in the gas pipeline fire in Putra Heights, Subang Jaya on Tuesday is estimated at 65.4 million ringgit. Selangor Menteri Besar Amirudin Shari said this is based on observations made by the technical team headed by the Fire and Rescue Department on the 437 houses identified as the final number of homes affected in the incident. According to Amirudin, 81 houses were confirmed to have been razed, with structural damage exceeding 40%. 81 were partially destroyed, 57 were affected but not burned, and 218 houses were not affected. He added that the evaluation on the destruction of public infrastructure and nearby areas is ongoing. In a press conference today, Amirudin also announced that homeowners affected by the fire would receive additional contributions of either 5,000 or 2,500 ringgit each from Petronas. Amirudin said the Disaster Management Committee will call those affected individually to inform them, and they expect everything will be done by this Friday at the latest.
Pada hari ini, sesi pertama penyampaian sumbangan akan disampaikan ataupun akan dilaksanakan oleh pihak kerajaan negeri. Jumlah sumbangan untuk rumah yang total loss, adalah sebanyak 5,000 daripada Petronas yang dikawal selia oleh pihak kerajaan negeri, 5,000 lagi daripada kerajaan persekutuan. Maknanya rumah total loss akan menerima RM10,000. Manakala rumah yang terkesan dan juga penyewa-penyewa akan menerima 2,500 daripada Petronas dan 2,500 daripada kerajaan persekutuan melalui ICU. Justru minimum mereka akan dapat RM5,000 daripada sumbangan segera yang diumumkan, dan alhamdulillah saya rasa 219 yang telah di-verify akan dapat disampaikan pada hari ini.
Meanwhile, Selangor Police Chief Hussein Omar Khan said the probe to determine the cause of the incident will begin once Ground Zero is stabilized. A full investigation to determine the root cause of the gas pipeline fire and explosion in Putra Heights on Tuesday has yet to begin due to the unstable condition of the site. This is according to Selangor Police Chief Hussein Omar Khan. In a press conference yesterday, he said efforts to stabilize Ground Zero have become more challenging as a large crater formed is now filled with water following several days of rain. He added that several recovery phases need to be completed before a thorough investigation by the Occupational Safety and Health Department and the police can be conducted.
Tadi saya dah bagi tahu tadi fasa-fasa dia. Kita akan mengambil masa lagi antara 7 hingga 10 hari untuk stabilkan tanah sebab dia kena pasang sheet pile tu kiri dan kanan. Saya nak bagi tahu kedalaman lubang yang dihasilkan dalam kawah tu adalah 7 meter. Jadi kena stabilkan tanah tu. Kita kena pasang pihak-pihak yang terlibat ni kena pasang shield pipe tu kiri dan kanan, barulah tanah tu boleh diusik, dan kita kena bawa keluar tanah tu sampailah pada kedalaman 6 meter. So dengan keadaan hujan sekarang, kita kena keluarkan air daripada situ lagi. Jadi itu saja akan mengambil antara 7 hingga 10 hari, lepas tu baru kita boleh masuk. Jadi kita boleh keluarkan laporan awal dalam tempoh 2 minggu. So itu perancangan agensi-agensi teknikal yang terlibat lah.
Back to Anwar, the Prime Minister has hit out at certain quarters who are politicizing every issue. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has urged the public not to entertain certain quarters that insist on politicizing issues and condemning those who do not align with their stance. Speaking at the Prime Minister's Department's monthly assembly today, he said while some small issues could be solved amicably, some parties harp on the matter to the detriment of the people.
Kerana kita kadang-kadang terlalu diheret mengenai utamanya media sosial dan media kerana mereka suka sensasi. Jadi hal-hal yang kecil yang boleh kita tangani dengan baik dijadikan besar. Seolah-olah perang akan berlaku. Soal kuil perang. Soal belon perang. Padahal boleh kita atasi dengan baik. Ya. Jadi kalau sebab itu saya ingin mensyurkan, ya, jangan berikan ruang. Karena setengah orang dia bebal ini dan dia tidak fikir kepentingan umum. Semuanya mau dipolitikkan. Semuanya mesti dengan cara menghukum.
He added that if you don't agree with them, they will label you as evil, disbeliever, or hypocrite. Previously, the Dewi Sri Patra Kaliaman temple relocation sparked debates with a segment of social media users focusing on the legal status of Hindu temples. The MCMC has also initiated investigations into several social media users who posted offensive racial comments related to the discord over Hindu temples. Meanwhile, balloon vendor Zaimuddin Azlan was reportedly roughly handled by DBKL officers on March 28th as the local authority claimed he refused to stop his unlicensed business. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Kimilia. Thanks for watching.